Then there was the bleeding. Too afraid to tell mom, she saw all addresses but stayed dumb. When mama eventually found out, all she did was shout. But no.
She was born beautiful, her eyes oval and her cheeks full. Her daddy a pastor, her mom owned a bookstore. Locked away like RCT and Adam Levine, at the age of 2 she knew all about Jesus being divine. Dropped off daily at school by the driver, protection was 100% and nothing could harm her. She knew all about God but never watched the news and so didn't really see blood until she turned 13 and then there was the bleeding. Too afraid to tell mom, she saw it all addresses but stayed dumb. When mama eventually found out, all she did was shout. But no one told her what it all meant, and into her room, a box of pads was all that was sent. Beautiful black girl wasn't a girl no more, but still her mind stayed raw, ignorant of the meaning of all the changes. But she couldn't ignore the pop on her chest that felt like 2 oranges. For a while, it stayed that way, until mama came to her room to say, this is your cousin John and he has come to stay. John was a teen and damn, he was mean. Mama was always at the bookstore. Daddy was busy being a pastor. They made sure she read her Bible but didn't really care about all that she went through. How John turned her into a slave whenever they went out. How he'd flog her with his belt and in her face abuses he would shout. Constantly starving her while he had takeouts. She was always terrified. Whenever he screamed her name, she instantly became petrified. At least it's just a few chores she constantly told herself. Until that sunny afternoon, he came strolling down like an elf. She had just come back from school and the weather wasn't so cool, so she took a bath, oblivious of the fact that it was just her and a monster in the big flat. He opened the door slowly and crept in. She laid still, of course she was sleeping. Slowly her eyes went open. Her legs had already been pried open. The mass of his large body weighed her down. She couldn't move a limb and he placed a hand on her mouth so she wouldn't shout. He whispered in her ears, tell anyone about this and I swore I'd kill you. She believed him. Who wouldn't? Not even you. He ripped off her dress soft like paper. Every sound seemed to come from someplace far. He pushed on the way outside, and before she knew it, she felt him inside. She struggled hard until she no longer had strength. She was clueless what this all meant, but she couldn't ignore the pain that she felt.
Please no! Oh my God! Please no!
Those 5 minutes felt like 5 hours. Before his body started trembling against hers, he got up without saying a word, and that was it. The end of her world. She sat there for hours, staring at the red patch on the bed. She felt the warm liquid trickle down her thighs, but was too weak to move. She finally heard Mama scream her name as usual. She went to the closet and cleaned herself up, walked to the living room, and there stood John, staring at her with stone-cold eyes. John says, "You've done no chores today," Mama said. She stared dumbfounded at this blind woman that knew nothing. She slowly turned and walked to the kitchen, made supper and didn't need a spoon before leaving the dining. Stayed up all night, too weak to cry, wishing she would just die, too broken to sleep. He came again the next day and the day after, and kept coming for 2 months. She always felt weak and sleepy, but Mama kept telling Papa she was getting lazy. She was starting to feel a bulge in her tummy, then the vomiting started. She tried to hide it for a few weeks until Mom saw her in the backyard, throwing up so bad. 2 looks at her, and Mama screamed, "You're pregnant!" They didn't need to hear any explanation she had to say. Besides, she didn't have nothing to say. They screamed and wailed and flogged. John stood behind the scene, telling them of a boy with her he had always seen. Mama's outrage could clearly be seen. The neighbors came rushing in, trying to calm Mama down, for she was ranting and crying. But no one saw when Lisa got up, and without them even noticing, she went to take a knife from the kitchen, went to her room and wrote the last 2 months on a piece of paper. Without letting a tear fall, Lisa slit her wrist. The beautiful pent-up pain flowed out as one streak of salty lava burned down her right cheek as she exhaled her soul into the empty prison that had been her room and gained that eternal freedom. I wonder if God would send her to hell, because even before her body went cold, they all came rushing into the room screaming and threatening to kill her. Was all Mom yelled, but they met her lifeless chunk of flesh. John stared with confusion but mild satisfaction until a neighbor picked up a blood-stained paper clenched in Lisa's fist. With difficulty but certainty, he read the contents of the only poem Lisa ever wrote. Papa in outrage pounded on John, and Mama for the first time fell silent and passed out from the pain. A little too late to show concern, for Lisa's last words read, "At least I won't get hurt no more by something I do not even understand."
A lot of Mona Lisas are out there suffering in the hands of their Johns. Will we wait until they slit their wrists? She may have grown and be sitting next to you, trusting no one, devoid of love, judged by the society and condemned by the world. But what no one realizes is she was shaped by pain that she still doesn't understand.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. Welcome to this program. I welcome you in the name of Jesus. We'd like to start off, because of time, we'll start with prayers as the program continues. So wherever we are, I want us to just bow our heads in prayers. And let's just say a word of prayer. Father, we thank you for our lives. We thank you for today. We thank you for how far you've gone with us. We thank you for this program. We thank you for your love. We thank you for your kindness. Lord, accept our thanks in Jesus' name. Lord, we ask that as we continue in this program, you help us, Lord. You teach us, Lord. You guide us. You help us to be voice when there's silence. You help us to stand up against evil in our society. You help us to be the light that you have called us to be. And we pray for every speaker and facilitator today that you help them, that their words will be life and will bring healing and hope in Jesus' name.
Neka.
In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
Amen. So we'll continue in our program. My name is Anokefu. Hello. Yes. My name is Anokefu, and I'd like to welcome everyone in the name of Jesus. And for the program, we'll welcome Brother Ari to co-coordinate on the program.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. We can't hear you. You're on mute.
Me on mute now. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am. You're welcome. I'm glad to have you in our midst.
Thank you. My pleasure.
So we will start straight away. Actually, we thought we would wait for some of our participants, but because of our speakers that have very tight schedule, we already have 11 participants in the room. And before that, we welcome everyone that is around. I welcome our mommy, our national president of the VOWISIN, that's the Women's Wing of the Christian Council of Nigeria, the person of Elder Mrs. Williams Uzuaku. Sorry, ma.
It's okay.
Pardon me. I'm
It's
so
okay.
glad to have you in our midst. You can just wave your answer, they will know it's you. Thank you so much.
My
And
pleasure.
also we have in the house our mommy too. I think I met her in the SCM in 2000 when I joined the SCM in Lagos sector, all the way from Paris. She was a former WACAT coordinator in Lagos sector, and she's here in our midst. She's also part of the discussants. Her name is Pastor Mrs. Modupe Morire Ologunleko. You can just wave to us, ma. If you're in the house now, say, you're welcome, ma. It's a pleasure to have you in our midst. God bless you. And also, I think Venerable Ike Anaga will be joining us very soon. He actually requested I would give him about 10 minutes or 15 minutes into the meeting. He will join us. But notwithstanding, we already have our speakers in the house. Okay, more people are joining now. And also some of our national leaders will be joining the meeting. And as they join, they will welcome us into the meeting too. So thank you so much. God bless you. I will hand over to the coordinators, to the moderators. Faith and Sophia will be moderating. Actually, they are the program officers of SCM that are in charge of this project. This project is being done under what we call End Violence Against Women and Children project of the Student Christian Movement of Nigeria. SCM being a member of the Christian Council of Nigeria, and also by extension, World Council of Churches. We tend to promote this. So what our plan is to ensure that we join the rest of the world to mark Thursdays in black. So very soon. So sorry, we have been in technical. The other person is getting ready. That's Faith. Okay, we want to give ourselves distance because she's here and it's affecting the audio. Please bear with us. We will start immediately. The plan for this program is that it's going to be in form of question and answer discussion. We will give each speaker 10 minutes to speak before we now ask them the question. Like we all know, the title of this discussion is we are trying to show solidarity with women and all those that are suffering one form of violence or the other in Nigeria. And yesterday we had a good news from the National Assembly, where the National Assembly passed a law that is to be able to prosecute anyone who stigmatized, to make it more difficult for anyone to just commit all these nonsense atrocities before, and they will be allowed to go. But this time around, the federal government is really taking it more serious. And I believe that this discussion we have today will be a robust one, and we will talk about it more and how we are going to be able to implement it in our states and in our local government and various communities. And I'm so glad this afternoon that I have here our Owisi mommy. I know that anything I can't handle, she's going to handle it because they are our mommy. They are our mommy in the CCN, and we are doing this under them. So, mommy, we are not doing it alone. We are only doing what you have set us to do. So you rescue us in anything here. So I think I will allow mommy Ozwaku to talk to us, and then the rest will join when they come in, so that we don't waste our time. So, mommy, you are welcome on board, ma.
Thank you very much. My pleasure. Thank you very much. I don't know how many of us here that can hear me and how many that are connected. It's my pleasure actually to be part of this.
Can hear you, ma'am.
Yeah, it's my pleasure to be part of this program. Actually, Dare, when you spoke with me, it's because it's a program that I'm very passionate about. If not, I have another engagement very soon, few minutes, few hours to come. But it's my pleasure to be here, and I will try to use this 10 minutes to just talk about rape, and violence against women and children. Gender-based violence is every day. It's no longer a thing of that somebody can say, I don't know about it. Oh, is it really happening? Yes, it's really happening. A lot of videos has gone viral about rape, and the fact that it is here with us now. It is here with us. So even those who initially felt is something that is only happening to the rich, is something that is only happening to people that are only in the urban areas, or is something that is happening to people that are in particular location. No more. It is with us. You know, a lot of issues has come and it has brought the issue of rape to limelight. I want to suggest to the admin, you can mute those who are not speaking so that we don't have interference.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. So my worry about rape is the very numerous myths that is associated with rape. And in those myths,
we can't tell you.
Okay, are we there? Yes. My worry about the issue at hand, is that unfortunately there is a lot of myths associated with rape. When I mean myth, falsehood, a lot of lies associated with it, and so many people are living by these lies. And our role, even as student Christian movement, our role as women, our role as youth, is to try as much as we can to demystify this myth that is associated with rape. You know, it is shocking that nearly 95% of the cases of rape are committed by none other than relatives and family members. And yet, there is so many myths about rape, that rape only happens to people because probably they are going out when they are not supposed to go out. They are associating with strangers and they are mingling with strangers. That is a big myth. Rapes is an universal occurrence. It's not restricted to any particular country. It's not about third world here or first world. No, it's not an African problem. Neither is it a continental problem. Rape is also not restricted to regions. It's not restricted to race. It's not restricted to religion. And it's not restricted to your class or your caste. People give myths. One of the myths again is the fact that it is when you dress naked or you dress half naked, you call people, you are liable to be raped. But that is not the truth, because today we have seen people that are well covered in their hijab, in everything, and they are still victims of rape. I was asking a question to my women on our platform, and I asked, how do we view rape? Is it a behavioral pattern or is it a lifestyle? And there were diverse answers. A lot of people felt it's a behavioral pattern. A lot of people felt it's a lifestyle. If you look at the case that UNICEF just uncovered somewhere in the north, a man that has repeatedly been raping people in the past 20 years. So for that person, it has become the person's lifestyle. Rapists, they have all sorts of excuses and justification for their acts. The rapes are committed by religious leaders, it's committed by teachers, It's committed by guardians, fathers, brothers, etc., etc. You know, there are so many things that are associated with it. And today, all I want to say is that I am calling all of us to rise up to the occasion. Let us try to identify what are these major causes and what can I do? What can we do? Yes, Thursdays in Black, it is an advocacy against rape and every other violence that is initiated by the World Council of Churches. And what we are saying is that we are looking forward to that, and that end where there is no more rape. Towards it, when you are moving towards something, is a journey. It's a journey that takes time. We may not actually achieve all we need to achieve now, but with consistency, with us speaking out when we are supposed to speak out, with when we see something that is evil, we say it. When we say what we ought to say, we have this quote that we use: when you see something, you say something, and when you say something, you're doing something. So when all of us try as much as we can to do the best as we can to curb this menace, we'll actually have a better society than we have already. Thank you very much.
Hello? Hello?
Hello.
How are you?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay,
I can hear you.
need to check your audio so that you can.
I think we're having some technical issues from our moderator, but while we wait for other people to join, I played an intro earlier, and I'll play it again. So while we have other people to join and while our moderators are actually getting ready for us to kickstart. Thank you very much, Ma. God bless you. I want us to just be patient while I play this intro. And it's actually a spoken word poem and by someone, and I just want us to just listen.
I'm saying there is too late for that, for this movie now.
She was born beautiful, her eyes oval and her cheeks full. Her daddy a pastor, her mom owned a bookstore. Locked away like RCT and Adam Levine, at the age of 2 she knew all about Jesus being divine. Dropped off daily at school by the driver, protection was 100% and nothing could harm her. She knew all about God but never watched the news, and so didn't really see blood until she turned 13, and then there was the bleeding. Too afraid to tell mom, she saw it all her dresses but stayed dumb. When mama eventually found out, all she did was shout, but no one told her what it all meant. And into her room, a box of pads was all that was sent. Beautiful black girl wasn't a girl no more, but still her mind stayed raw, ignorant of the meaning of all the changes. But she couldn't ignore the pop on her chest that felt like 2 oranges. For a while, it stayed that way, until mama came to her room to say, this is your cousin John and he has come to stay. John was a teen and damn, he was mean. Mama was always at the bookstore. Daddy was busy being a pastor. They made sure she read her Bible, but didn't really care about all that she went through. How John turned her into a slave whenever they went out. How he'd flog her with his belt, and in her face abuses he would shout. Constantly starving her while he had takeouts. She was always terrified. Whenever he screamed her name, she instantly became petrified. At least it's just a few chores, she constantly told herself. Until that sunny afternoon, he came strolling down like an elf. She had just come back from school and the weather wasn't so cool. So she took a bath, oblivious of the fact that it was just her and a monster in the big flat. He opened the door slowly and crept in. She laid still, of course she was sleeping. Slowly her eyes went open. Her legs had already been pried open. The mass of his large body weighed her down. She couldn't move a limb and he placed a hand on her mouth so she wouldn't shout. He whispered in her ears, tell anyone about this and I swear I would kill you. She believed him. Who wouldn't? Not even you. He ripped off her dress like paper. Every sound seemed to come from someplace far. He pushed her on the way outside and before she knew it, she felt him inside. She struggled hard until she no longer had strength. She was clueless what this all meant. She couldn't ignore the pain that she felt.
Please, no. Oh my God. No.
Those 5 minutes felt like 5 hours. Before his body started trembling against hers, he got up without saying a word, and that was it. The end of her world. She sat there for hours, staring at the red patch on the bed. She felt the warm liquid trickle down her thighs, but was too weak to move. She finally heard Mama scream her name as usual. She went to the closet and cleaned herself up, walked to the living room, and there stood John, staring at her with stone-cold eyes. John says, "You've done no chores today," Mama said. She stared dumbfounded at this blind woman that knew nothing. She slowly turned and walked to the kitchen, made supper and didn't eat a spoon before leaving the dining. Stayed up all night, too weak to cry, wishing she would just die, too broken to sleep. He came again the next day and the day after and kept coming for 2 months. She always felt weak and sleepy, but Mama kept telling Papa she was getting lazy. She was starting to feel a bulge in her tummy, then the vomiting started. She tried to hide it for a few weeks until Mom saw her in the backyard, throwing up so bad. 2 looks at her and Mama screamed, "You're pregnant!" They didn't need to hear any explanation she had to say. Besides, she didn't have nothing to say. They screamed and wailed and flogged. John stood behind the scene, telling them of a boy with her he had always seen. Mama's outrage could clearly be seen. The neighbors came rushing in, trying to calm Mama down, for she was ranting and crying. But no one saw when Lisa got up, and without them even noticing, she went to take a knife from the kitchen, went to her room and wrote the last 2 months on a piece of paper. Without letting a tear fall, Lisa slit her wrist. The beautiful pent-up pain flowed out as one streak of salty lava burned down her right cheek as she exhaled her soul into the empty prison that had been her room and gained that eternal freedom. I wonder if God would send her to hell, because even before her body went cold, they all came rushing into the room screaming and threatening to kill her. Was all Mom yelled, but they met her lifeless chunk of flesh. John stared with confusion but mild satisfaction until a neighbor picked up a blood-stained paper clenched in Lisa's fist. With difficulty but certainty, he read the contents of the only poem Lisa ever wrote. Papa in outrage pounded on John, and Mama for the first time fell silent and passed out from the pain. A little too late to show concern, for Lisa's last words read, "At least I won't get hurt no more by something I do not even understand."
A lot of Mona Lisas are out there suffering in the hands of their Johns. Will we wait until they slit their wrists?
Hello, thank you so much for that wonderful message that we've just heard. I hope you can all hear me. Hello, yes. So we're sorry for the little difficulties and laid back to the program. The program has started and we already prayed, and the elder Mrs. Ozuamaka Williams had already admonished us and spoke to us about rape and our take on rape. I hope she's still around because we still have a few more questions to ask her as we go on to speak. But before she comes back on, because I would like her to be on before she's ready to leave. Before she goes on, I would like to introduce Black Thursday to us. Black Thursdays in Black has been a program by the WCC, World Council of Churches, and it has been on for a while. It's a platform that lends a voice to the voiceless, especially to women and children that suffer violence and rape in our society. That is the quota of the church to our society, because there are a lot of rape cases, there are a lot of violence to children, women, around and is happening in the church as well. So every Thursday, the WCC stand up in solidarity to pray, to address, to speak up on issues like this so that people will be aware, so that there can be solution towards all these problems we face. Before the recent news about all this rape over the girl that was killed in Lagos, all the news of rape that has been happening, before now, rape has been a case. Rape has always been. It's either the two rape victims are too scared to come out to tell people what's going on, because if our society has not even accommodated them enough to speak up out of fear they are caged. But as a church, we're coming together so that we can provide comfort, we can provide healing as God has called us to do to them. So without further ado, I would still like Elder Mrs. Uzochukwu Williams, if she's still available. Is she still around?
Yes, I'm still here. I'm still available, very much available.
She's hello.
I'm here with you.
Oh, thank you, Ma. Thank you, Matt. Thank you so much, Ma, for the other time. I'd just like to ask few more questions just for you to shed more light on what you were talking, on the trend of the discussions you were saying before. You started by telling us that rape is not about how she dressed or where she was or where she is. It's just that a rapist is just wants to rape. A rapist is always a rapist. So now I would like to ask a question. When we talk about sexual consent, how does that relate in regards to rape? So that it can be clear to us. What is the difference between sexual consent and rape?
Yeah, sexual consent is actually one of the things that makes us say somebody has been raped. It's an agreement to participate in sexual activity. It is like you and I agreeing this is what we want to do. Before being sexually with somebody, before going intimate with somebody, you need to know if that person wants sex or not. It's important to be honest with, even if it's your partner, it is important to be honest from day one. Okay, this is what I want. This is what I don't want. So sexual consent is an agreement, that mutual agreement between two persons. It means that the person you want to sleep with, the person you want to make love to, the person you want to have sex with, whatever name you want to call it, is the same agreement with you. The person is saying, okay, go ahead, I'm okay, let's do this. But where it is now termed rape is where the person has not given his or her consent. Because when we talk about rape here, we are not only talking about the female folk, we are talking about both gender. So it's when the person has not given his or her consent, and then there is this force in getting what you want. That is when we can say someone has been raped. So rape is the absence of consent. That is just it. Consent is that agreement, mutual, between the two parties to engage in such activity. Thank you very much.
Hello, thank you very much, Ma. Thank you very much, Ma. I would like to welcome Hello. Hello. Hello, can you all hear me?
Yeah, I think we
Yes.
can hear you.
Yes.
Yes.
So I'd like to welcome Reverend Ike and Mommy Modupe to the meeting. We already started discussion, and Mommy Uzochukwu had already started the discussion.
Uzoaku.
Oh, sorry, Ma, Uzoaku.
Yes,
Mommy Uzoaku had already started the discussion with us.
We will get used to it.
Yes, Ma. Ma, so we like Reverend Ike and Mommy Modupetu to join this conversation. We're talking about consent and rape. and what rape is. How do we define rape? How do we define violence? That's the discussion that's currently going on. So we'd like you to join this discussion. Tell us what rape is, what violence is, and what's the difference between consent and rape.
Well, I don't know if you want me to start before our brother Anaga.
Oh.
Sorry.
You can start, ma. So
All
is
right.
it fine if she starts?
Okay. Well, I want to greet everybody in the house, and I'm so happy to be in this very special program, and also in your midst. My pleasure to be part of this program. I take it as an honor to be a partaker of this wonderful event of looking into a very important issue that has, although started a long time ago, but it's like now taking a different level. And also, it is a big pleasure for me to appreciate my dear sister that brought me to this meeting, and also Brother Peter, Dare Ajogbon, because it has been quite a while since I got involved with the Student Christian Movement program. I'm close to 10 years now, so I see it as another privilege.
Oh, fine.
Yeah, in this particular topic, our dear elder, Mommy Williams, has really given a broad blanket of the issue, you know, in this forum, you know, like explaining the meaning of rape. You know, it's not difficult to really know what rape means. As she has said, it is, of course, a sexual violence made without that person's consent, without that person agreeing to the action being taken. So, and we know that since we are talking about gender violence, of course, this discussion of today is going to cross over the board of all the sexes, that is both the female and the male, but especially we are focusing maybe more on the female, because we see that this thing do happen more with women in the gender family. So rape, as we have said, is a sexual assault that was carried out either by force or either by coercion, you know, without the consent of the person. And we know that because we are talking about violence now, gender violence, it crosses over all activity of violence that can happen to the gender. You know, like we know rape is one of them. We know that sexual abuse is one of them. We know that sexual assault is one of them. You know, so all these things are encompassed, and that is what we call the violence, the gender-based violence. But because we are concentrating more on the rape in today's discussion, I would say that rape is a form of sexual assault, that it is done to a victim, to a would-be victim, without that person's consent. And having said that, what is consent? How does consent comes in? You know, consent is, of course, is when there is an agreement and acceptance to the action of sex to one person. You know, when we talk about sexual consent, we are saying that in the eyes of the law, we are saying that we have agreed by choice, and we have the freedom and capacity to make that choice. So there are two things actually under consent. Consent is that the person agreed to have that interaction with the other person in the form of sex. The person has agreed one. The second thing is that the person is in a capacity position to have agreed. He has the capacity to make that choice. So those are the two things that compass consent. You know, that the person agree for that sexual activity to go on, and the person has the capacity to make that choice. So that is, to me, actually the definition of consent in relation to rape. So as long as that person does not have that capacity of making that choice, then it has become a rape. And that could be maybe the person is scared, the person is threatened, the person is bullied, you know, the person is maybe has been given drugs to drink. I mean, maybe the person is sleeping, he does not know, somebody just come on top of her while sleeping. So that person does not have the capacity to make that choice. So, but in any situation where a person has has agreed as a form of choice and has the capacity, then that person is acting in consent. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ma. Reverend Ike. Hello, sir.
He is on mute. Can he be unmuted?
Sir, unmute yourself, sir. Oh, thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Is that okay? Are you hearing me now?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Okay. Okay. I'm glad to be here. We had this meeting the first time in Uniben with SCM, and today we are on Zoom. First, we want to say that what's happening in our nation is such that the issue of rape, we should take it very seriously, very, very seriously. When you have a forceful knowledge, carnal knowledge of an opposite sex, you have raped the person. When you talk about issue of consent, you're talking about an agreement between two persons to do a particular thing. But if the other party is saying no, then you go ahead and forcefully do that which is against the other party. Of course, you have broken consent. And when it has to do with rape, I mean, the person is forced against her own will. And when that happens, it's a rape. And it's happening in our homes, it's happening in schools, it's happening in neighborhoods. That of Benin happened inside the church. And so it's unacceptable, and we can't stay and allow these things to continue in our society. For me, it's a heinous crime to have sexual knowledge, a carnal knowledge of a girl forcefully. Once you do that, you have reduced the girl to nothing. And so I don't think it's something we want to keep discussing. It's something we need to stop, and stop it at all costs.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mommy Modupe. Mommy Modupe said something that I would like us to just pay attention to. She said, it's not just agreeing. Of course, consent is that you have agreed to have any sort of sexual relationship with a person, but the person also has the capacity of what it takes to engage in that action. So when somebody even tries to lure a person because the person is younger or the person does not have an experience, that also falls into the category of no consent, because the person does not have the capacity to take such actions. So as we go further in the discussion, I'd like to invite Sister Sophia. She's the coordinator for WACAD. Sophia. Yeah, unmute, please. Unmute yourself. You're muted. Unmute yourself. Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. I can hear you.
Hello.
Yes, we can
Good
hear
afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mommy Uzako. Welcome. Thank you for joining us, ma'am. We appreciate. Good afternoon. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes,
we can hear you. Speak.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Thank you all for joining this meeting.
Unmute yourself.
Okay. Okay, I guess you all can hear me now.
Yes.
Okay. Thank God this this topic we are discussing is a very important topic ravaging the society now, because issue of rape is something that has been in existence over the years. Hello?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to be sure everybody is hearing me. And
Yeah,
that's
we're all
why
hearing.
that's why we deem it fit to discuss on this, to know how we can help to curb, or better to stop this rape issue that is happening in society. Every day there are different rape cases announcing and repeating itself. So based on what you said, Venerable Ike, sir, I have a question for you, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, sir. So how does our society interpret gender-based violence?
Gender-based violence is such the way the society interprets it. Once you start talking about it, the first thing they do is to begin to think you're talking about feminism, and it's way beyond feminism. And of course, each time you talk about gender-based violence, the men around would simply say to you, men also are abused. And once you start talking about it, they also switch off. Switching off it's not something we want to talk about, because in one way or the other, the men are involved. Unfortunately, we keep saying it's the man's world. And once you talk about gender, everybody narrows it down to the fact that you want to talk about us because we are the perpetrators. But the truth of the matter is that the perpetrators are the men, and they are the people who would batter. They are the people who would rape. Well, to strike a balance, I mean, there are some men who are raped, but when you also look at the percentage of the men who are raped, let me just withdraw the word rape. Men who are sexually abused, because I'm yet to hear about a man who has been raped. I know men who are sexually abused. The percentage is just small. But when you start talking about the percentage of women or even children who are abused, it is way off the hook. And so they are not interested when you talk about violence, gender-based violence. They are not interested when you talk about how to stop it, because in one way or the other, they are part of it. But whichever way they feel about gender-based violence cannot stop us from talking about it. I have had to confront a lot of men. I had to handle issues around violence, and we went extra miles to make sure that the culprits were brought to book. And it's something an ongoing discussion that it's even strange that I'm a man and I am talking about it. And sometimes when I go for workshops and talk about it, they keep saying, why are you interested in this? And I would always say to them that I am interested in it because I want to use my masculinity positively to protect the women and not to abuse them. And so this is how, the society sees it. They don't see it as something that we need to do. They see it as one of those things. Most times they just dismiss it with a wave of hand. And this is not what it should be. We should take it seriously and make sure that the gender-based violence that is prevalent in our society comes to an end.
Okay. Wow, thank you. Based on what you said, sir, if everybody will have this mindset, I believe in few time, the issue of rape will be a bygone in this society.
Yeah.
And we are trusting God that God will help us to achieve that in few time.
Oh, yes.
Everybody will this.
Yeah.
Because if the men sees it as their duty to protect the women against rape, I believe the issue of rape will no more be them. Thank you for what you said, sir.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Mommy Usako, I would like to ask you some questions, ma'am.
Okay, I'm with you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Okay, my question is there what are the stipulations in the Nigerian law for rape and violence?
Yeah, I think I like that word, speculation. Before I answer that question, I just want to support a little bit to the earlier question you asked, if you don't mind. You asked
no problem.
Reverend Anaga, my brother. You see, when you talk about the society, you ask yourself first question, what makes up the society? The family, the church, everything around us makes up the society. Most especially, the family will come from the organization you belong, either you're the church or the mosque or any other. These are the things that makes up the society. And when you ask how do they view gender-based violence, you agree with me that they actually view differently. Like you did say something, or one of you said something earlier. Rape has been in existence for a long time, but it's like we were treating it with kid gloves. We thought it's something that is particular for a particular person or a particular group, or maybe those who only wear short clothes, or maybe those who only expose their body, or maybe those who only go out in the night, or maybe those who are poor, who don't have security. But it's no more that case. Rape now, like I said earlier, cuts across everywhere, every region, class, and everything that you can imagine. Now, the society view gender-based violence differently, like Eda Naga said. When you speak about GBV, it's like you are a feminist. If you're a woman, if you're not, like you're just, why are you defending this? It's like you want to drag with men. But that is not the issue. There is something he said I want to hang on. He said he wants to use his masculinity positively. And unfortunately, so many men are using it negatively. If you go to a church, which is part of the society, how do we view, we are a Christian body here, we are a Christian organization, how do we view violence? If I am bruised and attacked by my husband and I run to my pastor, what is the first thing my pastor tells me? Most of the time, it will only to pray for you and encourage you to go back to the same home you're violated. You go to your parents. Your parents are also doing the same thing. In fact, so many parents, when they give you out for marriage, it's like the door have closed up on you. You're not to come back. You don't have a room any longer in this house. So no matter what goes on in your husband's house, just stay there and die, or whatever happens. Nobody is ready to support you because of the stigma that are surrounded. So the society is filled with people that are stigmatizing victims. Instead of showing solidarity to the victims, we see that we stigmatize them and we make them vulnerable, and most of the people want to die with their problem because they open up to the church, there is no solution. They open up to their family, there is no solution. They open up to their friend, there is no solution. You are viewed as someone, if a woman comes to you and says, my husband raped me, how can you say that? How can you? Is this right? That's the next question. Is this right? He has the right to have sex with you anytime. We refuse to balance the equation. And because of that, so many women are dying in ignorance. So many women are dying in silence, and so many young girls are also dying. Even after being raped, they dare not open their mouth to say. That would tell me to go more into that. The question you asked about the laws, that I like the word you use, speculation, is actually a speculation. There are a lot of law in Nigeria that actually is against Nigeria as a country. Let's look at it. Rape is a serious crime in Nigeria. It is a criminal offense, and if found guilty, it carries a life sentence. That is the law. Then the question is, can you point out one or two persons that have been sentenced to life because of rape? If you look at Nigeria, there are laws that govern rape. The criminal code is actually applicable in of Nigeria. That's the criminal code law. They call it the civil law. But the implementation is there. The penal code is also. Okay, thank you for muting me. Okay. The penal code is actually applicable in the different states. You also go to the northern state, there's something they call, in Lagos State where I live, they call it the criminal laws of Lagos. If we go to the Violence Against Person Prohibition Act, that's VAPP, is an act, is a federal law that has only been domesticated only in 4 states, only in Lagos, in Anambra, in Ebonyi, and Oyo State. That's the Violence Against Persons Prohibition law. Only in these 4 states, unless some states just domesticated recently that I'm not aware of. So you see that under the Criminal Code of Nigeria, if you go to, I know that I think section 357 or something, rape is defined as having unlawful carnal knowledge of a woman or a girl without her consent, or with her consent if the consent is obtained by force. Because there are some consents that can be obtained by force. After you have given me dirty slap, you have kicked me, you have done so many things, and I'll say, okay, come, do it. I give you my consent, but that consent was not done. You forced me to give you that consent. So the offense there is punishable by imprisonment for life. So that is there. But the problem we have in Nigeria, like I mentioned, all these codes, all these laws, that is there, but it is not being implemented. We have a case in Anambra, in Oyo State. Thank God UNICEF has so much followed up that case with these female lawyers. A man of about 62, I think that man was 62, violating a young girl of 12 years. And all the evidence was there. At the end of the day, the man was actually remanded in the police custody. But the problem we have most of the time is that the parents of the victim will after a while come and tell you they are withdrawing the case. They don't want to do again. They want to settle out of court. And so many times would actually fail us to look at those things that make those things happen. And today, even when that happened, UNICEF on their own followed up to the last. Today, the man is still in police custody. But the irony is that he has not been charged to life. He's still in police custody, quite all right. But he has not been sentenced. So he can come out anytime. The case has been on adjournment from the one adjournment to the other one. That is what we see in Nigeria. At a point, even you that owns the case, you'll be tired. Even you that is a victim, you'll be tired of going to court. If you're the family of the victim, you'll be tired of going to court every day and possibly spending money, because you spend money to also, even if you're not spending money for the case because activists are actually taking care, then you spend money and spend time going to the court off and on and having to go through some of the questions that are very embarrassing and are very inhumane. So in conclusion, the laws are there, but implementation is something that you and I as FBOs, you and I as CSOs, you and I as an individual, thank God for today, CSOs, the social media is helping us to bring perpetrators to book. And so because when people see things, when they begin to share, even when the police does not want to do anything, because of social media pressure, they will start doing something. Look at what happened in Edo, look at what happened in Kaduna. It is social media that brought the people to book. Without social media, the police had already taken their stand. Thank you very much. I think.
Thank you so much. Thank you Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma. Before we move on, we'd like to take questions and answer for any of us who have questions. But before we move on, we'd like to hear from Mommy Modupe. She's still here? Yes, ma. We'd like to hear from you. But we'll take questions. Please, if you have questions, just raise your hand. We're going to unmute you and you ask your questions after Mommy Dupe has spoken. Thank you, ma. Welcome, ma.
Yeah, thank you very much for our speakers so far. I would love to talk again on the question of the social reaction to rape. In actual fact, when Mommy Elder Williams was speaking, I felt so sad, the rate at which, and even Reverend Anaja, sorry if I'm not pronouncing the name well, I felt so sad at the magnitude of the nonchalance that the society has taken over the issue of gender violence, and especially rape on women. And we see that it appears even in the future, things does not look so rosy and does not look so promising. Because if by now we know that the laws are already on ground, but these laws are not being made use of. You can imagine that it is being operated in just four states of Nigeria. When Nigeria is about 36 states, you know, I mean, it's not even like a drop in the ocean. And as has been rightly said, these things are even happening in the families. The main event, the main occurrence of this abuse or violence is from the families, where that we see that the parents are actually the one molesting their children, their girls, even before they go out to be molested by other men. So the problem actually is a social problem that comes from the base, from the home. And that the reason why it is even so difficult is because when it comes from the home, nobody wants to take responsibility. No father wants to own up that is the one that has molested his daughter. And the daughter cannot speak because the mother will say, don't talk. We must not bring shame to this family. So it's a very sad event that these things are happening at the rate at which they are happening in our society. And the society is embracing it because of stigmatization in the name of, we must keep the name of the family. They must not know that this thing has happened to us. So the victim continue to suffer in silence. And the government have not really helped by implementing, just like Elder Williams said, by implementing the so-called laws, like VAPP, all these child laws and all, by implementing them the right way. Because we say we are now in the digital area, we are now in the time when we are all moving into civilization. We are trying to copy other countries. We want to copy foreign countries, we want to do the way they are doing. But the good things that these countries are doing, we are not doing it. There is no how you are caught with rape that you will not, be visited by the hand of the law in all these countries we are trying to copy. So the society has indeed been very nonchalant concerning the case of rape of women especially. And I'm hoping that with these talks here and there, and thanks to the media medium that are now the one bringing out all these hidden secrets to the public, making it terrible for people to see, I believe that gradually the African countries, our own country, Nigeria, will take up this challenge to sanitize the views of the society. That this is an evil that when a girl have it, it stays with that girl for life. It stays with that girl after marriage. It stays with that girl before marriage. It stays with that girl when she wants to choose a career. It stays with that girl when she makes a decision. Actually, it makes wrong decisions because of this foundation. So it's a very deadly a sickness that hardly goes away. So, and I hope that with all this knowledge that we are sharing and the media helping and all the NGOs that are coming out to talk about it, I believe that something good, I mean, there's still a little bit of hope that the society will start to see it from a different angle. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ma. Thank you so much. So we'll quickly take questions. If you have questions, please just raise your hand. Chidi will unmute you and you will ask your questions. So if you have questions, please signify or drop a message at the chat section. Drop your message, we'll read it and we'll direct it to our speakers and then they will answer your questions. But if you're watching, if you're on video, you can raise your hands and we'll unmute you. Any questions, please?
No questions for now. But there's a question. Allow me, Kwasi, you can go with your question now. Hello, Kwasi.
Hear me?
You can just be a little bit, come up.
Hello,
Yeah,
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for the discussion today. So, my question is on the offender. Most of the discussion today has been on the victim blaming, victimization. And another issue is on implementation of these laws. How can I, as a layman, work towards the implementation of this law? Social media has done its own bit by bringing it out for us to see, but most times it ends there. As shared, the legal system in Nigeria is something else. So what can we do as people or as citizens of this country to work on the implementation of these laws already in place? Thank you.
Okay, I tried to hear her, but I will be signing out soon. Dare, you remember I told you we have another Zoom meeting coming up.
Meeting, yes, you said so, ma.
So, and before I sign out, I want to also acknowledge some of my women that actually logged in there. The Deaconess Mary Okpomo is here. I want to cite you, ma, for coming. Thank you.
Thank you, ma.
Barrister Gloria Iwuamadi, the chairperson of OBC in Lagos State, she's here. I want to cite her. I also want to cite the leader of the Baptist Women Conference all over Nigeria. I saw her earlier, Reverend Dr. Raquel Ateju, she was here earlier. I just want to thank them. It was a very short notice that we posted. And it's so good. And from the question my sister asked, because after that, I will actually be logging out. Even Mrs. Mary Okpomo and Iwuamadi, I think they will also be logging out because we have another Zoom that is coming out very soon. Actually, she's talking about the offender, that's the perpetrators, and how we can actually bring them. If I listened to her very well, the line was breaking. How we can actually bring them to book. Like what we teach people is we have limits to what we can do, and the law has limits to what the law can do. It's not everything as an activist. It's not everything you do. Your voice is actually to bring the law to be, not for you to make sure that the law comes to force. Because first of all, try to identify helplines. Student Christian movement, if you don't have the helplines, you can contact me later. We'll help you get to helplines. It's very important. You can identify helplines where people who have been victimized in each state or in any particular region in Nigeria, the phone they can call. There are services that are available. The victims may not even need to spend money in most cases. There are activities, there are organizations that are ready to take up the case. All you need to do is to be available, report the case, and they will take up the case with utmost discreet in most cases. So for us, let us all just try to be the voice. Be that voice. Try to speak out when we should and try to report. There are cases, anonymous reporting is allowed. You can do that if you don't even want to disclose your identity or whatsoever you are, so that offenders can actually be brought to book. That is just how we're going to look at the offenders. And again, let us try as much as possible to reduce situations where we turn the tables are turned, and then victims are now becomes perpetrators. Victims become offenders because of how how we have tried to judge them or adjudge them because of the circumstances that they found themselves. I want to call on Student Christian Movement. Maybe soon, I want you as a youth organization that to engage more in demystifying the myths I mentioned. By the time we try to demystify the myths in rape, it will help us. Those things that people think they are the truth, we'll tell them, we'll debunk each of those points to tell them they are not true. And those are the things why they act. And even the police use it to also justify the security and order. The church and everybody, they use it to justify the acts that has been perpetrated by the offender. Thank you very much. I want to appreciate all of you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Mommy. God bless you, man. I really appreciate. Thank you, our Mommy, from our women's wing of the Christian Council of Nigeria. I really appreciate you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. God bless you all.
During the meeting, we have some of our leaders around.
Yes.
I really appreciate you. So as we release Mommy Williams and our other mommies from the WOWISIN, the women's block of CCN, we love you.
Love you too.
Thank you.
God bless you. I can see your home now. You were on the road before.
Okay, so Reverend. Okay, you muted yourself. You can unmute yourself, Reverend Ike. Venerable, I guess I thought you were speaking. Okay, hello, can you hear me? Okay, so we continue. While the meeting was going on, we had some of our leaders in the Student Christian Movement joining us. And I would like to appreciate their presence in our midst. And maybe before we continue, because we still have our speakers still around, Mommy Modupe is still around, very much around, all the way from Paris. I really, really appreciate this. You have had international, what do you call it? So yes, I appreciate you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yes, then we also have somebody representing the youth wing of the Christian Council of Nigeria. She happens to be the National Secretary, Sister Ifoma. You are welcome. You will still be speaking, but before now, I just want to appreciate our leaders in our midst. We have in our midst our National Secretary, the person of Reverend Olumide Toluwase. I don't know if you would like to speak with us, maybe just to welcome us. Okay, he's muted. We can't see his face. You are welcome, sir. We also have in our midst our coordinator, the coordinator of the Women and Children Affairs Department of the Student Christian Movement of Nigeria. She has been a wonderful moment too. I think she's the second. Okay, apart from there have been many of them, but in recent times she has been a wonderful mommy, and she supported this program. When I told her, I said, any which way SCM, we must respond to this, and we are trusting God that this program is going to help us to really do the campaign more on the campuses because of the happenings in the last 2 weeks, you know. And her name is Dr. Chinyere Chigo. You are welcome, ma'am. Maybe she would like to speak for 2 minutes or 3 minutes. You can unmute yourself, ma'am, before I introduce Daddy to Reverend Eric Igalo. You can unmute yourself, ma'am. You are okay. Okay. We can hear you.
Okay. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for coming, Mommy Dupe. We are glad to see you.
It's nice seeing you too.
Despite the short notice, you were able to make it. I've listened to you. I came in while you were speaking.
Okay.
It's
nice
wonderful.
to you. Yeah,
thank you so much.
We
believe that it will really go a long way to open our eyes to the things that are even prevalent at present, and we'll see how we can also make a difference so that this menace will be curbed. You're welcome once again. Thank you, everybody who is around. Thank you, Brother Ray.
Thank you, Mommy. Thank you, Ma. And again, we have in our midst too, our daddy, the immediate national president of the Student Christian Movement of Nigeria, and also he is representing the African region of the World Student Christian Federation. You know that SCM is affiliated to an international organization based in Geneva also, just like our WCC, our parents who are based in Geneva, World Student Christian Federation. And we have in our midst the chairman for the African region, the chairperson for the African region, Reverend Dr. Eric Igalo. I don't know if you would like to say hello to us, or maybe later so that we can continue. Then also we have in our midst the movement building, our national movement building and missions coordinator, the person of Sister Iberi. She's also in our midst also. Okay, our national secretary wants to welcome us and appreciate us. Okay, you are on, sir. Reverend Olumide, you are on, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Well, sorry we joined this meeting a little bit late. I'm actually having 3 meetings at the same time. But I want to, especially on behalf of the national president and the national executive of the SCM, thank the WACAT department for this, and also thank all our big mummies I can see. I can see Dr. Denny, I can see Sister Dupe, I can see Mommy Adefolaju, and I can see Reverend Eric Igalo, and then all the CCM leaders, women leaders that they talked earlier, and our consultants and the venerable. We are really grateful that we're able to make today. And one of the challenges that crossed my mind is the fact that it's not about talking about these things, but it's about working them out to the point of solution. Well, one of the things that we face right now in the world, which has always been there, but it's on the increase, is the consequence of the fall of man in the Garden of Eden. Okay, so it's not something new, but it's something that the devil has aggravated to an alarming point, using men and women as agents in our nation. But we also know that the Bible has told us that we are the salt of the earth and we are the light of the world. So I guess the challenge before the SCM and the Christian Council of Nigeria, as well as CAN and the Christian body all over, is to provide solutions. So my word of challenge today to all of us, as I sat in my parlor, is to say, how do we put action to all of this? It's good to talk about it, it's good to pray about it, but how do we work it out on the streets to ensure that these things are really, really cured in our nation? So thank you very much for joining us, Sister Modupe. Thank you, ma. All the way from Paris. The Lord bless you.
Amen. Yes, it's nice seeing you again.
Yes, thank you. And Sister Chinyere, God bless you too. Thank God I'm able to see you today on Zoom after almost 4 months. So the Lord bless us all. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you.
Amen.
So much. Thank you so much, Reverend Olunde Toluwache. God bless you, sir. We appreciate you. We'll continue in the discussion so that we can. We have our sister too. I will hand over to the moderators. They are the program officers. I'm only working at the background to ensure the success of this meeting. I will hand over to Sister Faith, and then together with Sister Sophia to continue. So I think we still have our speakers in the house, so they can continue to enlighten us. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll still take questions. Chidi, I think I can see some questions in the chat room. Can you read it out for us?
Okay, I sent you some questions on your chat, on a private chat. I'll just read the ones I have here. So I have a first question. It says, how best can we educate our boys and girls on sexual education? Did you get that question?
Yes.
Okay, so.
Mommy Modupe. Yes, ma.
Well, I think there are many ways that that can be done. That is to educate our girls concerning the topic of rape and gender violence, and the starting actually from the home, you know, because every child is born from a particular home. So it means that the first education a child has is from the home. Now, how will a child have this education if the parents that are supposed to give this education are not, they don't really know the importance of giving this education to the child? So, and that is where the individual organization comes in, like the church, like the meetings. The adult must be educated. In different forums must be made use of, just like Reverend Olumide is saying. How do we put this thing into action? How can we educate our girls to know this, the dangers of this thing, so that they will know the signal before the thing happened? So we have to educate the adults through the different available mediums. In the church must have a regular, programs that brings in members on a regular basis, because they say that the longer you knock at a door, the longer you work on something, the earlier that can start to understand why you are knocking, on her or on him. So the church has a big role to play. The NGOs has a big role to play. Educative on a daily basis, on a seasonal basis, on every opportunity to make everybody know, have an information, because wisdom, knowledge is power. So when the parents have this knowledge, they know how to go about it. They are exposed to how to use this knowledge to guide the child, to educate the child. Then the awareness will be higher. And when there's more awareness, it means that there is more light. And when there is light, the darkness will go away. So it is the light that takes away the darkness. We cannot leave everything to the government, So the government is to bring justice, but the light comes from education, comes from making use of our education to touch the life of our child. So a parent that does not know anything about his child or his girl baby, than just nursing her, giving back to her, making sure that she grow up and she's having all the fine things, that even she goes to church with her. That is all the parents know. There's no time the parents sit her down to educate her as to these areas, the possibility of them happening or not happening, So then there's a problem. So the adult must be educated in all the areas of organization that is within our capacity. It is very important. Thank you.
Much, ma. Thank you very much, ma. More questions.
Can I come in there with some answers?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's important that the sex education we start early from homes, age appropriate education. You see, the problem we have is that everybody keeps thinking that sex education, there's a particular age you need to start doing that. No, but that's wrong. For us Christians, we see sex education as a no-go area. It's not an area that, parents are very free, with. No, but we need to break that jinx to start giving our children age-appropriate sex education. Now, there are parts of the body, and we can't mention the parts of the body the way they are. And these children, they grow up, and somebody teaches them how the part of the body will. But this is something we can teach them at home. Now, something happened in a home. One of our sisters taught the daughter that her private part is her pee-pee, and nobody has right to touch it. and that she should preserve herself till she's married. You know, that the best gift she can give to her husband is her virginity. And this 8-year-old girl took it to heart. A brother in church was invited to teach her how to play keyboard. And in the process of teaching her how to play keyboard, the brother, in quote, started abusing her sexually. And of course, the moment the mom came home, she ran straight to the mom and said, "Uncle so touched my pee." And that was how they knew that it was not really a brother, but somebody who came to church and was in the music department and all that. And so if we start early, once we start early, the children will grow knowing that this is the way it is. Now, one other very important thing I need to bring to table is the issue of gender roles. Now, these social constructed roles have been given to our children, and parents keep carrying it, to a whole new level. In my house, by God's grace, there are no gender roles. Everybody does everything. The men, because I cook, and I cook for my wife. I cook sometimes, some weekends, I'm the person who is doing the cooking. And I have 3 boys and a girl, and they join me to do the cooking. And I keep telling them that you have to also cook for your wife. And my children are growing up to know that everybody can do everything at home. Once you achieve this, the positive masculinity I am talking about and positive femininity will come to bear. The girl child will grow up knowing that I cannot be afraid of anybody. God has created me. And by the way, can I say this to us? That the women are stronger than men in a lot of ways. And I need to emphasize this. Now, the pain, the labor pain women go through, any man who goes through that, every single bone in your body will break in pieces. Google it. And that is why, they can take all the pains. So the positive femininity is that they are strong and they can stand anybody who can come to rape them. And they do not see themselves as weaker sex. No, they are not. We are created in the image of God and in the likeness of God. And so when we teach our children to grow up that way, having the positive femininity, I teach my boys that you use your masculinity to protect. You use your masculinity to teach and not to rape. And so once we train our children this way, they go into the society strong, knowing that their virginity, one, is for their husbands and their wives, knowing that they cannot allow anybody to have access to that. Of course, the outer society, like our sister has pointed out, we also have responsibility of doing that. And so it's important that we know that it's everybody's responsibility, especially from the home. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. God bless you, sir. Yes. So, more questions. Are there more questions, Chidi?
Okay, yeah, we have one more question here. It says, how can SCM or other organizations ensure that law protects gender and the implementation of the strict law in Nigeria? So how can these laws that we've talked about, how can we ensure that those laws are strictly followed in Nigeria?
I think Mommy Uzo already answered that question. It's just, she said as advocates that all we just need to do is to bring the awareness of the law. We're not to make the law happen, but bring the attention of the law, bring the attention of the people to it as advocates. That's what, then the law will take its course. But when we see things, we should speak up. When we see things, we should not keep it to ourselves. We should not say it is not my business. And by the way, rape is not just the gender-based violence, when a child is abused, when a woman is battered, is beaten. Those are also part of violence and gender-based those are also part of gender-based violence. So once we see these things in our societies, let's identify it and let's make sure that the law takes its course. So let's move to the next question. I hope that question is answered. But if there's more, if there is more to the questions, you're free to speak up or send a message to the chat room. Any more questions so that we can move fast?
Yeah. Just an addition to what Momilzako said, SCM as a body, are you hearing me?
Yes.
Are you hearing me?
Yes,
sir.
we
can hear you, sir.
Yes, we can.
All right. SCM as a body can carry out an advocacy visit to National Assembly, especially with what is happening. It's on the front burner because of the prevalence of rape cases in our time. I don't know whether it's this COVID-19 that caused, this increased prevalence, but we can do an advocacy visit to National Assembly with a strong worded letter that we need to expedite several rape cases that is in various courts. Once we're able to expedite it and somebody is finally indicted and has been sentenced to life imprisonment, it will serve as a deterrent for would-be perpetrators. And that's number one. And number two is for us to have also peaceful demonstrations, in our society, saying no to rape. Even as a pastor, I have done that. I've done that in Abuja. I've done that in most cities in Nigeria. Until today, the people are still talking about it. And we have dealt with a lot of rape cases. Finally, the female lawyers in Nigeria are very serious with this. We can also reach out to them. They have helped me to prosecute men who were involved in gender-based violence. And if we can reach out to the female lawyers of Nigeria, they will also, one of the things they do is their services are free of cost and they go extra miles. There are a lot of cases that are expedited and people have gone to jail, but it's just that it's not in the public domain. And well, we've taken this step and we'll keep moving from one step to the other. God will grant us grace and then we will get to a point where our laws will come to bear. And when people remember that people have gone to jail for rape, they will not want to get involved in that. That's the little I want to add to what Momilzako has said. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Any more questions?
Yes, another thing I would love to add to, I would love to add to that, just what SCM can do also. In addition to what Reverend has said, the SCM as a body can also create a medium whereby people that are victims can make themselves known with an anonymous way, in an anonymous way, like have a telephone number that they can spread around, that if this thing is happening to you, please get to us with this number. We will not reveal your identity. Or if you know that somebody is molesting you, may not be rape yet, because before a rape can happen, many assault has already started. Maybe the person, they have been touching the private part, somebody has been forcing the person and they say, okay, I'll come back tomorrow. So the SCM can also have a group of, form a group within SCM, whereby they develop a phone line, a hot phone line, that they will distribute to all the universities, all the secondary school branches of the SCM. So that this phone line, they should give it to their friends, both male and female, that anybody that is facing any sexual assault, either a man or a woman or a boy, they can reach out with this phone. and leave their contact on how SCM can get to them. So when they have this kind of hot lines, then whosoever responded, then we can now follow the steps that Reverend Anaki have given us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you so much. Yes, Ma. Okay, yeah, we're moving forward. More questions. Chidi. Hello.
No
Chidi,
questions for now. No questions for now.
Okay, no questions for now. Okay, I'd like to hand over to my co-moderator, Sister Sophia. Yeah. Unmute yourself.
Okay, thank you, Sister Faith. And thank you everyone that's been participating in this program. It's been really mind-blowing. I've really learned a lot from this program. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, for now, in absence of question for now, to keep, I still have some questions I would like you to throw more light on. Venerable Ike and Mommy Modupe. Okay, as a church, we cannot isolate a church from the society and its problem. So what can the church do to curb the societal problems? Can you hear me?
Yeah. I heard you loud and clear.
Okay. We cannot, let me take the question again. We can't isolate the church from the society and its problem. So what can the church do to curb these societal problems such as rape and gender-based violence? So what can we do as a church? Did you get the question?
Yeah. I did.
Okay. So please, sir, you can answer the questions or throw more light to the answer of the questions, sir.
Okay. The first one is social reorientation by the church. Social reorientation by the church.
Okay.
I don't know how to say this, but I say it with a lot of pain in my heart. The church has, in one way or the other, supported gender-based violence because we keep thinking it's the man's world. The first time you go to a pastor to say, I have been raped, the next question is, where were you? Was it at night? How were you dressed? Now, once you start doing that, what you're doing is to place the blame on the victim. And so we need to reorient our members from the pulpit that it is not the man's world, that is God's world. And God has created us male and female. The Bible says, male and female created he them. And the strength I have as a man, God has also given a peculiar strength to a woman. And so we should not lord it over them. And so once we begin to do that, even the men who are in church, by the way, most of the perpetrators of rape go to church. Most of the perpetrators of rape are also in different arms of the church. And so this first social reorientation is to reorient us that it's not about us men, that it's about God. And then we should use our masculinity positively. And the second point is for us as pastor. We keep thinking it's as an anathema to talk about sex from the pulpit. From the pulpit, we need to correct a lot of impression. Our children are going to internet and learning from internet and learning from their peer groups and all that. From the pulpit, for us pastors, we can also talk about gender-based violence from the pulpit, and from the pulpit, correct people, denounce every form of gender-based violence from the pulpit. And of course, the third one is also very important. Make the church a safe home for people to come in. There are a lot of victims of rape and gender-based violence who are in church and still hurting. Can they come to church and feel some words coming from the pastors, coming from our mothers, coming from members of the church, to suit their hearts? We need to bring healing to the victims of rape. And the problem is that they come to church and they don't receive the healing that they are asking for. Rather, we point the accusing finger. Rather, we tell them that it's your fault if you were not dressed this way, or if you were not found this way, or if you did not go out with them, that will not, or if you don't have a friend. We keep passing the buck, and at the end of the day, the victims even go home feeling more hurt than they came to church. So if we pay attention to these 3 points I have made, the church will be a place of healing and not the place of passing the buck or place of pointing accusing fingers on the victim. We tend to forget that the perpetrators, it's out of lust and passion that they did what they did. And of course, we need to bring home our girls and make sure that they achieve healing. This is what I think the church can do.
Before, thank you so much, sir. Before Mommy Dupe rounds up this discussion for us, I'd like to quickly do 2 things. For one thing, Daddy said that I just want to re-emphasize it, so that, because I know that amongst us were pastors' wife, church members, and important people in church. So he said we should make the church a safe place, a place of healing. Of course, there are a lot of people that come to church and they are hurting one way or the other, in the family, in the business, things that they feel is outside the church and should not be discussed in the church. Let's just come and worship God on Sunday and go back to the hurting. Let the church be free to come. Let them be free to come and pour out themselves to God. Like our daddy has said, we should make the church a safe place. So, the Yobisin secretary, she has been around for a while, and I want her as a youth leader in church. I want her to share with us her take on this question. Hello, ma. Hello, ma. She's still here. Hello, unmute yourself, ma. Yes, thank you very much, ma. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm actually happy to be part of this this forum, and it pains me, it bleeds my heart to see that when we talk about rape, women are vulnerable, young girls are vulnerable, and most times we are being blamed. But we have forgotten that the person that is being raped has no problem. The problem is coming from the rapist. The age, the dressing, where you are does not count. If somebody can be raped in the church, I don't know where is safe again. That a girl was raped in the church, I keep asking myself, does it mean there was nobody, there is no gate man, no church workers around to have heard the girl when she was screaming for help? There was nobody there to help. I think the church needs to stand up and talk about this rape case. Just like Reverend has said, most times we shy away, the church as an organization, shy away from talking about sex. Secondly, the family too, they shy away, parents shy away from talking about sex. I could remember one of my aunts telling us one story that when she was growing, her mom told her, once a man touches you, you become pregnant. But her mom did not go down to teach her there are some parts of your body, some sensitive parts of your body that you should not allow a man to touch. A girl once shared her own story that she had a friend that the mom said, when you go to a man's house, don't allow the man to climb you or to stay on top of you. Eventually she went, when the guy attempted, she told the guy, no, rather let me be on top of you. So, so parents, they need to call a spade a spade. Tell your child what is obtainable. When you have a sex, call the name. Let it sink to the person's ear. When you have a sex, this is the result. It is either you're pregnant or you contact the disease. The family I grew up, my parents, they are very vulgar. My dad will tell you, this is it. Forget about when a man touches you. No, not just ordinary touching. There are things involved. And stay away. Me, I like taking precaution. Once you notice you have a friend, an opposite friend, that all the time you notice that he's always making sexual moves towards you, pick race, start running away from that person. Because you cannot compare the strength of a lady to that of a guy. There is no way, no matter how you struggle, you can't be stronger than a man of your age. So I always advise girls, any male friend that you know that he cannot control himself, please, to avoid stories that touches the heart, stay away from the person. Just stay away from, if the person comes and say, no, come to my house, I will not. Me, I used to tell them, I don't like going to men's house. They say, is it because of rape? I'll say yes, so that you will not come and rape me. I'll become a victim. Because I feel very bad. I know what it means to be raped, though I've not experienced it, but I try to imagine somebody forcing himself on me when I don't actually, there's no mutual understanding, there's no mutual agreement to that. I think the family and the church need to sit up and talk about this issue of rape and sex. It's very, very important. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mommy Forma. Thank you so much. She said something. She said the parents should speak clearly and plainly. For parents amongst us, please, let's take this to heart. Let's call a spade a spade. Let's tell them the actual things. Don't let us speak in parables and make our children go out to find out what that parable means. Because outside, they won't tell them the truth. Or even if they're telling them the truth, they're telling them the truth so that they can have access or take advantage of their ignorance. So I can see more questions. So after Mommy Modupe, we'll take our questions. But before then, Ma, over to you, Ma.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, what can church do? Or can church isolate themselves from this pandemic? I'll put it that way, this problem, this societal problem. Definitely, of course, the church cannot isolate themselves because like the various examples that we have had, events happening, this same thing is happening even in the church. And when we look at the root of what is it that what the church should contain, that thing is still happening in the church. If one goes to the root, then it'd be very sad to say that should we put it on the neck of the devil? He says it is the devil's work. Like people used to say, they say it's the devil that did it. So, but no, it is the church itself that need to sit up and work on themselves, because we are to show examples to the other people in the world, because we are the light. And so when the light start to misbehave, then there is a problem, and there is no a focus reference again, because the church is supposed to be the true reference. So the church, actually, we cannot even say that, can the church isolate himself? No, that question is not even, doesn't have to be asked, because the church is not even isolating himself, but the church is inside. The church is inside of that problem happening, and so the church has to look inward, and the church must be true to themselves. The pastors must be true to themselves. The leaders of the church must be true to themselves, that these things are happening in the church. What must we do? And this thing has been happening years, even from the old Catholicism, all those churches that we met in the world. When you go through their history, you see all these things happening, and it's not meant to be. So what I can just say in rounding up is that we cannot say that, can the church isolate itself? No, because the church itself needs to be checked. The church must wake up to the reality that is a problem in the center of the church. Every pastor must be able to talk about it. All the leaders must be able to handle it the way it is. And when the church is ready to do that, even to the leaders of the church, then I believe that it's a very good way to start. Because when you see some members, they are so afraid of their pastors that whatever the pastors say goes. They are so afraid of their reverend or their leaders because of this quote that you don't go against the man of God or a woman of God. So whatever they say happens. So if a man of God or a woman of God say this, the Lord said I should do this. So you use the Lord to blaspheme and to say the wrong thing. And members will just follow. No, not talk less of the workers in the church. Talk less of maybe the person that just come to church for the purpose of just looking for the girl. So I want to believe that the first thing that the church needs to do is to look inside and find a way whereby the church can be truthful to themselves and curb this madness that is even flowing from the church to the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Reverend. Thank you very much, Sister Ifoma and
moderator,
Mommy.
let me just
okay, sorry.
let me just
go on, sir.
We also need to be very careful with the church. From my experience, we have had several pastors abusing members sexually. I'm not mincing words in saying this. We have had several pastors who abused, sometimes raped the minors in the church. We have had a case of a girl who was having problems at the home and went to church to talk to a daddy who is a pastor, and sexually abused by that same pastor. One of my daughters in the Lord, who is an advocate against rape and gender-based violence, she is a radio person and she's doing very well where she is. The pastor who came for a program in their church raped her in her father's official residence. She came, she went to give food to the minister. and she couldn't talk to anybody. The day she was talking to me, she said, I didn't talk to my father about this because my father will not believe me. And so I'm just praying that the church will change from being a place where people get raped to, where our pastors, my colleagues, also abuse people, but a place, a safe home for people who are hurting. I keep saying this. And before I sign out, again, positive masculinity and femininities. This is the way to go. Once we train our children to show positive femininities and positive masculinity, our society will be a lot better. Apart from that, the word of God will go a long way in transforming a carnal-minded man to be a spiritual man. A spiritual man will not rape. Somebody who has got a relationship with Jesus, somebody who has got the fear of God will not rape. He won't even allow lust to live in his own heart. And so it's important that I mention this as a pastor, that we also need to be careful with the churches and pray that the churches will be a safe place. And pray that the pastors will be agent and advocate against gender-based violence. Thank you and God bless us.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Ma, anything, ma?
No, I'm okay.
All right, ma. This is a little bit out of the program, but I just have a leading that Reverend and Mommy should just, as we close, will speak words of prayer over the church and the society. But before that happens, I will quickly just take the last questions, maybe 1 or 2 questions for them to answer, and we'll let Reverend and Mommy just speak words over our society, the church, and all. So, Chidi, any questions, please, quickly?
Yes, we have one question here. The question says, how do we fight the issues of stigmatization on victims?
Okay.
All right. Reverend.
All right. Can I come in now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, there are 2 types of stigma. Oh, of course, stigma goes with discrimination. So there are 2 types of stigma: self-stigmatization and, of course, external stigmatization. The problem with self-stigmatization is once you are raped, it is difficult to talk to anybody about it because everybody will start saying you caused it. And so we need to tell ourselves, once we are victims, we need to tell ourselves that the earlier I get healing for whatever experience I have had, the faster I move on. The psychological baggage is always there. See, I have counseled several rape victims and their life has never been the same again. And so if you're a victim, you don't need to keep staying where you are. You need to move on. And the best way to move on is to talk to somebody about it. External stigmatization. It comes from the homes. Families will tell you, we don't want to talk about it. We don't want people. My daughter will not get married if anybody hears that she was raped at one point or the other. That's not true. A lot of people who were once victims of rape are married and they're doing very well. They've moved on. And so this
Oh, I think Reverend is, technical
Yeah,
problems.
this conspiracy. Okay, so this conspiracy must stop. We must speak out, and once we speak out, we must also take action. And so the only way to stop stigmatization is to speak out. Once you speak out, an action will be taken, and once that is done, healing will come. But if you keep mute, nothing will happen. God bless you.
Thank you. Ma, you have any contribution?
Yes, I would just add to it in the sense that yes, it's very important to speak out. Whatever situation a victim might have gone through, it's very important, because even the Bible says that we should open up to ourselves, especially to those that will give you a good encouragement, that will give you the right way to overcome the problem. So what is stigmatization is something that happened after people know that something bad has happened to you, or either you are being raped, or you are carrying certain diseases, or certain events that are not normal are happening to you. People start to put you aside. People start to make you believe that you are less than who you are. People want to make you believe that you cannot make it again. People want to make you believe that the end of the world has come. So for that victim to fight all this stigmatization, one, the person must open up, but not just opening up like that. The person must be, by the grace of God, be led to the right people to open up to. Because when you don't open up to the right people, the stigmatization becomes even worse. So the person must be, maybe in the initial time, you don't know the right person to open up to. You open up to just anybody. Maybe you open up to about 10 people that you believe they are the right people. 5 of them will even make it worse by their own views, the way they see everything. But among those people, gradually, that person will start to understand that he cannot keep everything to himself. Then he will be able to choose among those people that she can open up to, which is very important. And the next step is that after they open up to the right people, the victim must start to believe in herself. She must start to believe that she is still 100% a beautiful image that God has created her for, that she can still do everything that every other person that did not even have the experience can do. She must have to develop confidence in herself. And for her to be able to develop confidence in herself, she must start to know God. Because the only confidence that we can get actually is one that comes from above, especially when somebody has gone through some very terrible situation like rape and sexual assault. The person must start to look up unto God, whichever way he or she can get that, so that she can receive the word that will sink into her spirit and know that let the whole world fail her, there's still somebody that cares about her. So what am I saying in conclusion is that this stigmatization is real, is everywhere, is in the family. But just like Reverend said, the healing starts from the person herself. And the first healing is that look for the right people to open up to. Gradually, God will start to guide you to the right people you can open up to. And when you open up to people, the Lord will give them the knowledge how to get that person out of that self stigmatization. Then the second is that to start to believe upon yourself that you can do it, you can still make it, you can get better, you can move forward. And when one gets to that level of self-confidence, then the external stigmatization does not really matter again. The reason why the external stigmatization matters is because the person have not gotten to that level of personal acceptance of the situation, one, and personal acceptance that he or she is still the best that the world can ever see. So immediately we get to that level, the external stigmatization has no more power. And at the end of the day, she becomes an example to other people who is going through that same problem in the fact that she has been able to overcome and become a champion, whatever the situation that surrounds her. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ma. I can see a last question, but we have a question here as well. So I'm going to take the question, and Chidi, you're going to read the last question, and we'll share it so that Sister Ifoma can answer one of the questions, and then Mommy or Daddy will answer the other question. But we'll read the questions out together because of our time. So the question says, how can a rape victim demand for justice? That's one question. Chidi, read out the other question for us.
Okay, I have I would say 2 questions here. The first one says, what might be the cause of rape, and what possible solution to rape or violence do we have?
Okay.
Then the second one is like a statement. I think it's linked to mommy's statement. It says sometimes the victims speak out, especially to the wrong person, and then the news goes viral and the person becomes an object of ridicule. So how can a young person prevent that from happening? Then before anybody answers the question, I'll be dropping a link on the chat right now, and I would like us to check it out. It's an anonymous platform where people could send anonymous messages to SCM, and we will then know how to go about the messages. But we'll still have the call number where people can also actually call, and we'll talk about these issues, especially for victims. So, but I would like us to share this link that I'll be posting on the chat, and for people who are victims of rape, so they can talk to us and we can start counseling. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Chidi. So do we get the questions, Maz and Saf?
Well, maybe not the first 2 years, but the others not really.
The first 2.
Yes.
Yeah, the network was fluctuating, so I didn't even get any of them.
Okay, I'll just summarize. The first one says, how can a rape victim demand for justice? And the other number 2 question asks, what is the cause of rape? I guess, yes. What is the cause of rape and how can it be handled? And the last question says, there are people who have spoken up, but now they've spoken out to the wrong people, and now they have the issue everywhere, and everybody sees them as, a rape victim.
Oh. Okay, do I go ahead?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, let me start from the last one. You don't open up to the wrong people. You need to be careful because it's a psychological baggage that you need to deal with. And so you don't open up to the right people. Before you open up, you need to open up to, just like Mommy Modukbe mentioned, you need to be careful who you're talking to. If you talk to the right person, you'll get a right response. If you talk to the wrong person, it will go viral like so it's important. You need to pray about it as a person, and you need God to move your heart to the people you talk to. The other thing is that Mommy Madukwe and I and Mommy Ozako William were available. We can refer. One of the problems we have is referral. If someone talks to you and you're not able to handle that matter, you can refer. I've done counselings via phone. I've also gone extra miles in traveling to the place where the victim is in order to counsel them. I do this because I know it is difficult for the person to come. So we should seek for the right people to open up to. How do you seek justice? Once you get raped and you are able to reach out to female lawyers. I keep talking about Nigerian female lawyers. Nigerian female can't remember the way it. called, but it's
Feeder.
something. But
Feeder.
I've used them and they have been wonderful. If you know a female lawyer around your vicinity, just feeder. Yeah, feeder. That's the acronym. Once you know any female lawyer around you, just talk to the person. And if you don't know anybody, reach out to fellowship members and let them contact us. We'll give a number of any feeder lawyer in your location, and then you reach out to them. That's how to look for the right person. Discernment of spirit is also very key. When you are raped, ask God for discernment of spirit so that you will know the right people to talk to. I've seen people who became unbelievers and they started doing all manner of things because they spoke to the wrong people. I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Any other quick comments because of time? So we're trying to run with time because we've gone a little bit over the time. So quick comments, Ma, Sister Ifeoma, quick comments.
Yes, I will just add to one of the questions, like, of course, what are the causes of rape? What are the causes of rape? Yeah, I mean, we cannot start to give the causes there. So, because many people have many reasons for why rape is done. So when we give causes, it's like justifying the rape, as it were. Like maybe the person is light, the person is dark, that is why they rape the person, or the person is at a place, the person is sitting down, the person is not wearing anything. You know, all those things, of course, maybe put the person in a danger framework, like a person that is naked, for example. You know, that person has more or less brought the exotic feeling, maybe of the person that raped her. But then that act itself can be contained, can be checked by a man with a normal mindset, you know. So there's actually no reason why rape should happen. One cannot say that this is the reason why there must be a rape, because for every reason that caused rape to be happen, that's become a criminal case. Anything that cannot make you to contain the raper, not to contain himself, even if he sees the woman naked and goes ahead and do it, that person is still not justified. So there are many things we can call causes for rape. But when we start to define why rape should happen, it's like we are justifying the offender. So that's what I would want to say concerning why, what are the causes of rape and how can it be handled? Of course, how can it be handled is that the person that would end up becoming the victim must be aware that she must not put herself in a position whereby she become an object to be victimized. You know, she must understand what can cause that issue to happen. Like the way you dress, of course, one has to be careful where you go, the friends, just like Sister Ifeoma said during her speech, that you don't go to where you know there's a danger. You know, when you smell something, you quickly run away. Prevention is better than cure. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ma. Ifeoma, quick comments. No comments.
I microphone, I think.
Oh, unmute yourself. Unmute yourself.
Okay, I've done that. I think in most cases, a victim, before a rape could occur, the rapist must have carried out a kind of plan unknown to the victim, because rape does not just start in a day. The person that is watching the victim must have watched your movements, everything about you. It must have read everything about you, and maybe know at a certain point in time where you used to go. Sometimes you change direction, you change location. When you noticed something fishy, change location. Me, I'm always very, very careful. Once I notice any movement around me, someone following me, I'll quickly divert to where people are. Not only me, I'll just go to where people are. I will sit for a moment, survey the environment, watch the person in particular. Once I notice maybe the person following me has gone, because I would like to stay there, I'll stay there for more than 30 minutes to know if actually you're following me or you're just going your way. And if I notice any move from you, I'll just leave that environment. People should be careful, especially we ladies. We should be careful and watchful. You don't just, because you're going to church, you just go and assume that you are safe in the church. No. We should be very careful of where we go, the friends we keep, what we do at a particular point in time. And me, I believe the victims should not be blamed, because sometimes why they don't actually come out to say it out is self-blame, because people will blame them. And for people not to blame them, they will try to keep it to themselves and blame themselves. Another thing, they might not even know, for young people that are growing up, they might not even know when the rape has even taken place. So we should be mindful of what we do, the friends we keep, and where we go. That one is very, very important, where you go. If someone comes to your house to rape you, is a different thing. Before the person will even gain access to your house, at least you have neighbors that when you shout, they will come to your rescue. But if you are in a hidden place that people don't usually pass there, before someone could come to your rescue, it will become a different thing altogether. So I just pray God will help us. And the laws guiding against rape, the case of rape and violence, it should be implemented. The problem we are having in Nigeria is we prefer solution for everything. We have a very sound system, very sound solution. We give solutions, but to implement it becomes a problem. That's the very big problem we are having in Nigeria. I wish Nigerian government will come to our aid, and some of these laws, they will implement it and bring those rapists to book. One person should be used to set example so that others will learn. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining. Reverend and Mommy, we just want you to just say words of prayer over our society, problems, the church, and everything.
Right, let us pray. Our Father, in the mighty name of Jesus, we come before you.
I think Reverend has technical issues. Ma, over to you, Ma.
Okay. Let us pray. Our Father and our Lord, we thank you very much for the wisdom and the knowledge that you have given to the student Christian movement of Nigeria to cause this forum to be established concerning the issues that is against your desire for the men that you have created. We thank you, Father, for every speaker and every member that has taken part in this wonderful program. We thank you for all the things that we have spoken about, because we know that you have already heard them. Lord, in this discussion, we have opened our hearts to the things that we did not want in our society, in our families, in the church of God, and which we know that your heart bleeds because these things are happening. And so, Father, we ask for your divine intervention, that you will intervene in the hearts of men, because you said that the hearts of kings and the hearts of men, they are in your hands, that you touch the hearts of every one of us, right from the church down to the society that we live in, that everything that is called evil, especially in the area of rape and sexual assault, will come to an end in the mighty name of Jesus. And we pray that all these things that we have done, the world has heard about it. We want them to be put into action. And we ask that our government, that you will touch their heart too, that they will do what is right and proper. We pray for the society, we pray for the family, that every victim family, every victim person that has had this experience, that you will send comforters unto them. You will give them a newness of life, that they will become what they have been created to be. Thank you, Father, because we know you have answered all these prayers. In Jesus' name, we have prayed. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so very much. God bless you, ma. Thank you, ma. Thank you so much. Mommy Modupe, I really appreciate you. Thank you for staying with us all through. Even though many people have, some people have said batteries, so everyone needed to attend another meeting. Yes. Thank you so much, Sister Ifoma. God bless you. Thank you. And I appreciate our program officers. The program officer, the desk officers for the Waka department and the national affairs, Sister Faith, and then Sister Sophia. I really appreciate you girls. Keep it up. Thank you so much. Oh, Mommy Chinyere has joined us again. We are rounding off. We are appreciating everybody. Thank you so much for joining. We appreciate you. You have a great day. We are looking forward that once in a while we'll do a meeting like this, but what we are planning to do, we are going to take action on the recommendations today. The line for complaints to come in, and then we'll see how to write letter to also the National Assembly. I think the two program officers around there will ensure that, and Mommy and my sister too, we will make you proud. Thank you so much. God bless you.
God bless
you. Have a great evening.
Yeah,
bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
She was born beautiful, her eyes oval and her cheeks full. Her daddy a pastor, her mom owned a bookstore. Locked away like RCT and Adam Levine, at the age of 2 she knew all about Jesus being divine. Dropped off daily at school by the driver, protection was 100% and nothing could harm her. She knew all about God but never watched the news, and so didn't really see blood until she turned 13, and then there was the bleeding. Too afraid to tell mom, she saw it all addresses but stayed dumb. When mama eventually found out, all she did was shout, but no one told her what it all meant. And into her room, a box of pads was all that was sent. Beautiful black girl wasn't a girl no more, but still her mind stayed raw, ignorant of the meaning of all the changes. But she couldn't ignore the pop on her chest that felt like 2 oranges. For a while, it stayed that way, until mama came to her room to say, this is your cousin John and he has come to stay. John was 18 and damn, he was mean. Mama was always at the bookstore. Daddy was busy being a pastor. They made sure she read her Bible but didn't really care about all that she went through. How John turned her into a slave whenever they went out. How he'd flog her with his belt and in her face abuses he would shout. Constantly starving her while he had takeouts. She was always terrified. Whenever he screamed her name, she instantly became petrified. At least it's just a few chores, she constantly told herself. Until that sunny afternoon, he came strolling down like an elf. She had just come back from school and the weather wasn't so cool. So she took a bath, oblivious of the fact that it was just her and the monster in the big flat. He opened the door slowly and crept in. She laid still, of course she was sleeping. Slowly her eyes went open. Her legs had already been pried open. The mass of his large body weighed her down. She couldn't move a limb and he placed a hand on her mouth so she wouldn't shout. He whispered in her ears, tell anyone about this and I swore I'd kill you. She believed him, who wouldn't? Not even you. He ripped off her dress like paper. Every sound seemed to come from someplace far. He pushed her on the way outside and before she knew it, she felt him inside. She struggled hard until she no longer had strength. She was clueless what this all meant, but she couldn't ignore the pain that she felt.
Please, no. Oh my God, please, no.
Those 5 minutes felt like 5 hours. Before his body started trembling against hers, he got up without saying a word, and that was it. The end of her world. She sat there for hours, staring at the red patch on the bed. She felt the warm liquid trickle down her thighs, but was too weak to move. She finally heard Mama scream her name as usual. She went to the closet and cleaned herself up, walked to the living room, and there stood John, staring at her with stone-cold eyes. John says, you've done no church today, Mama said. She stared dumbfounded at this blind woman that knew nothing. She slowly turned and walked to the kitchen, made supper and didn't need a spoon before leaving the dining. Stayed up all night, too weak to cry, wishing she would just die, too broken to sleep. He came again the next day and the day after and kept coming for 2 months. She always felt weak and sleepy, but Mama kept telling Papa she was getting lazy. She was starting to feel a bulge in her tummy, then the vomiting started. She tried to hide it for a few weeks until Mom saw her in the backyard, throwing up so bad. 2 looks at her and Mama screamed, you're pregnant. They didn't need to hear any explanation she had to say. Besides, she didn't have nothing to say. They screamed and wailed and flogged. John stood behind the scene, telling them of a boy with her he had always seen. Mama's outrage could clearly be seen. The neighbors came rushing in, trying to calm Mama down, for she was ranting and crying. But no one saw when Lisa got up, and without them even noticing, she went to take a knife from the kitchen, went to her room and wrote the last 2 months on a piece of paper. Without letting a tear fall, Lisa slit her wrist. The beautiful pent-up pain flowed out as one streak of salty lava burned down her right cheek as she exhaled her soul into the empty prison that had been her room and gained that eternal freedom. I wonder if God would send her to hell, because even before her body went cold, they all came rushing into the room screaming and threatening to kill her. Was all Mom yelled, but they met her lifeless chunk of flesh. John stared with confusion but mild satisfaction until a neighbor picked up a blood-stained paper clenched in Lisa's fist. With difficulty but certainty, he read the contents of the only poem Lisa ever wrote. Papa in outrage pounded on John, and Mama for the first time fell silent and passed out from the pain. A little too late to show concern, for Lisa's last words read, "At least I won't get hurt no more by something I do not even understand."
A lot of Mona Lisas are out there suffering in the hands of their Johns. Will we wait until they slit their wrists? She may have grown and be sitting next to you, trusting no one, devoid of love, judged by the society and condemned by the world. But what no one realizes is she was shaped by pain that she still doesn't understand.